Let me paint you a quick picture. You're playing on Ascent, and you're playing Brimstone because you're a person of culture, and everyone else on your team insta-locked every other role, but you're down 2-8, and things aren't looking too bright. Your team is gathered up outside of A side during the buy phase, but you look at your minimap, and you see your Jett, the only duelist on your team, who has done nothing but get frags once her whole team is dead, sitting outside of B main. You call out to her in a cry of desperation, "Jett, you dense bag of cement, can you please enter into sight for us?" And she tells you, "Nah, I'm gonna lurk." Well, I'll be the first to tell you that she probably doesn't know what she's doing, as lurking is probably the hardest thing to do in the game, as it requires a ton of game sense to do correctly. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be talking about how you can avoid being that Jett and actually create value for your team while you're on the opposite side of the map. Now, you've probably heard the saying, just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Well, the same thing applies to lurking. Literally anyone can do it, from Jett to Breach, to Cypher to Viper. The issue comes in when it comes to your team comp and what your team needs from you. Let's say that you have a team comp composing of Arena, Jett, Brimstone, Breach, and Cypher. Who are the people that can lurk on this team? I wouldn't mind Arena lurking, as you already have a better space maker with Jett, and another good lurk would be the Cypher, as he's usually watching flanks anyway and gathering information. Brimstone can't lurk because he needs to be there with his team in order to smoke, and Breach needs to be there to flash and stun his team in, and then Jett needs to be there to make space. If any of those three are lurking, they're probably wasting potential impact that they could be having for your team. So the most common lurkers you're going to find are Omens, Cyphers, Killjoys, Astra, and sometimes Viper. The reason why these characters are the best lurkers in the game is because they can support their teammates from across the map. Omen, Astra, and Viper can usually send their smokes across the map for their team, and Killjoy and Cypher can hold map control in case their team ever needs to rotate out. Other agents can lurk as well, as long as you're doubled up on them. For example, with double duelists or double initiators, one can usually lurk and create pressure on the other side of the map, and pin rotates down there so the enemy team isn't stacking the other site that your team is actually going to hit, if that makes sense. Quickly, before we get into the rest of the guide, I just want to say that if you're looking for more guides to improve your gameplay, we have those as well at SkillCapped. We have Radiant Smurf commentaries where Radiant level players talk you through their games and show you how to lurk with any agent. Or maybe if you just wanted to learn how to run a default, a specific agent, or just how to get better, we can help you with that too. We also have a rank improvement guarantee so that if you don't see your rank improving, you'll get your money back. But there's literally so much value here, I find it hard that you won't improve. If you're looking for the fastest way to climb in Valorant, be sure to check out SkillCapped.com, link in the description below. Okay, so now you know who should lurk. Now we're going to talk about where you should lurk. In super basic terms, if your team is on one side of the map, you should probably go to the other side and try to find a kill or gain some map control for your team. Now in more advanced terms, some great spots to lurk are going to be in several spots, like A site or mid on Haven, A site on Split, hallway or elbow on Breeze, and mid on Icebox. Keep in mind that you can lurk literally anywhere, but these spots are probably the most effective spots, and let me explain why. Let's take Split for example. A site is split in such a way that you theoretically need two people to hold down the site. And then as defenders, your goal is to get one person to watch both lanes and call for rotates if they ever spot anyone going up ramp. The reason why it's important to lurk here is because of Cypher cages, a Jett smoke, a Viper wall, a Phoenix wall, or any smoke really. You force at least two defenders to sit there and try to clear you out. And then because you keep two defenders there, this eases up the pressure your teammates have while taking other parts of the map and creates a 4 versus 3. So if the enemy team decides to leave one person on A, this gives you the potential to take a lot of free territory to lurk up, find a kill, gather information, and so much more. And this same concept applies in those other maps I listed. Two people need to watch short and long on Haven, two people typically need to watch mid on Breeze, two people need to watch mid on Icebox, and by creating pressure in those areas, it forces enemies to sit there and watch those spots. Because if you do get through and find value, the round is so much harder to win for defenders. Like for example, I'm sure you've had Icebox games where somebody lurks in the kitchen, finds a kill, and everything just becomes chaotic because it's near impossible to re-clear kitchen effectively. Thus your team has a lot easier time doing whatever they want because defenders are so worried about that kitchen area. Okay, so you know where to lurk, who should lurk, and now we're going to talk about the types of lurking. And now there's really three main types of lurking. Those are passive lurks, aggressive lurks, and information lurks. Each serve their own purpose and should be used in their own situations. If you know a team likes to play aggressive, you should be playing more of a passive lurk and try to punish the enemy team for pushing up. For example, if you know the enemy team loves to flank on bind, you should probably want to sit outside of hookah and try to find a kill on the guy that's getting a little too greedy. Now, this is the most common type of lurk I see, and it's not really usually done with this purpose in mind. People passively lurk because they don't really know what they're doing. Maybe they're afraid of dying, or they don't know that they're not getting that much value. It's just that you usually aren't getting much value when you're cosplaying as a Cypher tripwire. For your aggressive lurks, these should be used if your team is having troubles taking the site and are meeting a ton of resistance. For example, if your team is going A on Ascent and they get mollied off and make a ton of noise, it'd be a good idea to start clearing out angles and trying to find a kill or a timing mid or on B, as the enemy is going to be adjusting their positioning, and then that's when you can find that timing and catch somebody off guard. Lastly, there's information lurks, and these are sort of a combination of passive and aggressive, where you're looking to gain map control and find out what the enemy's doing. Let's take Haven for example. If you cage the cross and walk into short, you can post up at sewer and either find a kill from someone that's pushing up, or listen to people rotating off of A and call that to your team. By the way, if you notice when you walk, that sound circle that you make shows how far that you can hear as well. So if you do walk into short, this is everything that you can hear, and it's a ton. From there, you yourself can walk up and find a timing and isolate a 1v1 on A site, or even find it empty for yourself to take. So basically, aggressive and information lurks are the most effective, but at the same time, they're really hard to get down. Also, something that I don't really see people talk about a lot is that if you do lurk a lot, sometimes it's a good idea just to pop the Cypher cages and just walk away, because it plays with the enemy's mind and they think that you could be pushed up in a certain area, and then they're wasting utility to clear you out while you're on the other side of the map playing with your team. Alright, so you know who should lurk, where to lurk, the types of lurking. So how do you do it? Well, I think that there's three main things you need in order to lurk, and those are good game sense, confidence, and mechanics. Let's start with the game sense, and let's go back to Haven. Your teammates are making a ton of noise in mid, and you've made your way into short. At the beginning of the round, Silva tried to shoot a recon dart to A lobby, but you waited it out, caged the cross at Cypher, and got your way into short. You wait for about 15 seconds, and your teammates are telling you that the enemy is now droning out to reclear B. Well, since that you know that Silva rotated off of A, this is your timing to try and isolate the one guy left on site. Granted that this may sound simple, it's a lot harder to recognize in game, especially while you're playing. On top of that, something you need to do is be able to clear angles properly. Because Silva decided to leave A site, that means that there's most likely one person there. But where? This is where your mechanical skill comes in. In order to have a successful lurk, you need to clear out every angle and not slow walk into any of them. Because if the anchor is holding that angle, you're basically a free kill because you're slow walking to the crosshair. And this is something I see a ton of in lower and even higher ranked games. When you slow peek everything, you're making yourself an easy target. But when you're peeking like this, you're much harder to kill because you're peeking much faster and the enemy might not expect it. We have tons of movement and peeking guides on the channel, so if you want more help in these areas, be sure to check those out. One simple drill that I still find useful is going into an empty custom map and practicing clearing out every angle one at a time. You restart once you hit the end, or if you accidentally don't clear something properly. This might sound really simple and kind of boring, but believe me, doing these small drills are going to translate into your games and you'll be lurking onto sites a whole lot easier. And then this brings me to my last point. In order to lurk, you need to be confident. You're not going to get good at lurking if you never do it. Lurking is something that takes a ton of practice, and once you get good at it, enemy teams are going to hate playing against you, and they're going to call you a rat. So in order to get better, you're going to have to accept the fact that you're going to be dying a lot. But that's okay, because the more you practice and the more you die, the more you learn and the more you'll get better at it. But this was all just one in-depth guide that we have on our website though. Also, if you want your chance at having your VOD reviewed, be sure to subscribe on our website at SkillCapped.com. We also have tons of Radiant Smurf commentaries where we have Radiant level players talking through exactly how to have the most impact possible on every map, and they're super helpful to see in real time what goes through a top tier player's head. And they can show you how to lurk. As you mentioned before, it's also backed by a rank improvement guarantee, and the reason we do that is because we are just that confident that our service works. And if it doesn't work, you shouldn't pay. So what are you waiting for? You've got nothing to lose. Head on over to SkillCapped.com and get started on your way to that rank that you deserve. I hope this video helped you guys learn how to get better at lurking. It's probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest skill to learn and takes a ton of practice. So don't be discouraged if you don't succeed right away. Practice what I've talked about and you'll be lurking like a pro in no time. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below. It really does help us out. And that's all for us. I'm Teets, and we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.